somewhere. Jesus.
I like the environment as much as the next guy, but that environment isn't shitting all in my house.
That's right. I like the environment as long as it's not shitting in my house. Pretty much.
That's a good
how it
way to
goes.
think about it.
Anyway,
Do you have...
we have to talk about books now, Lewis. We were going to talk about books, right?
No, do you know what we can talk about? You know, you talked a little bit about a funeral there. I don't know. I'm not a dad, okay? I'm not.
Do you
a
wish you
parent.
were a dad sometimes? Sometimes you listen to my tales of being a dad and you think, being a dad would be pretty fun.
And it cements my desire not to be a dad. Yeah.
No. It's fun. It's fun to just like see other people's kids once or twice a year. And then you're like, yeah, that's enough for me.
I'm glad I don't have to deal with this.
I'm glad I never have to yell at my own children.
Do you... Oh my gosh. I just... Well, I mean, I'm just still a bit sort of surprised by the whole bath of shit thing, really. But we'll go away from that. It's just... I guess I would just have a kind of...
It's just like
a
having
spray,
your own Top Girl.
a water spray, and I just like like one of those things that you spray flowers with, like a squirty.
Like a little like
yeah,
one of
I
those
just
things.
spray that all over. I just like
like you do to a dog when it's bad. Get out of here! Stop shitting! Stop shitting all the time. You can't do that to kids, because like somebody will come over and take your kids away if you do that.
Who?
Well, like the authorita.
How are they gonna know?
Well, because somebody always tells them.
But who?
I don't know.
Okay, they've got
I'm
this.
still trying to figure it out.
Government spies. Anyway, I'm not suggesting you spray your children in the face to stop them pooping. I was suggesting you used it as a kind of clean off. Like, you hold them up, like, and your wife holds them up, and you just like it's almost like a shower for a baby, right?
You know what you really need?
What?
You need the scene from 12 Monkeys where those guys are power washing Bruce Willis. That's what you need. That's the ideal, I think.
That'll get them really clean.
That's the safest way to clean your kids, I think. A little bit controversial at the same time. And I think probably you could get taken to court. Today we have a man and a woman accused of power washing their children. Industrial grade power washer.
Babies are very fragile in many ways, aren't they? But also they're sort of quite... they're kind of fairly... Well, they're sort of supposed to be fairly durable. Like, babies do get dropped. I'm sure I was dropped a few times as a baby, and I don't know whether you've dropped your children from...
I'm pretty sure
height.
never, actually.
Okay.
I mean, you actually go out of your way to make sure you don't drop them. Even though people sort of say, like, they're
no one says
they're like Jello.
It's
It's okay. That's typical of a baby dropper to say that, to try to justify their past dropping infringements. No, I've never dropped a child.
Well, neither
I don't
have
intend
I.
on ever dropping a child.
Okay.
Because that's pretty bad to do, actually.
I'm glad we're getting this stuff out here. The other thing I read, which I'm not sure is true, would be, say for example, you bring your kids. Now I don't know how old this works on, but I think maybe when they're younger, it'll work okay. Is if you go to, for example, a funeral, and everyone is all like mega sad and like bursting into tears, and like
and
really
then
upset.
Fucking, straight away, you know what's coming next. That fucking Sheila loved Manilow so much.
Yeah.
Now we gotta bust some out. Oh god, man, I feel so jaded. But like, I don't know. Like, I feel like funerals are too tacky nowadays.
For a long time, I thought Barry Manilow was black.
Wow. Man, I mean, he virtually is now. He's so tanned, like it's crazy. But yeah.
Sorry, so you're at a funeral, right? And imagine it was Barry Manilow's funeral, and so instead everyone was having a great time and a good fun time. That would be what the kid would feel,
well,
because you were having a good
now
time.
about funerals, don't they? It's like, it's a celebration of life. Don't be sad. Just because Sheila got ran over by a train, let's celebrate her life. Like, still can't get over the whole train part. Sheila getting dismembered under a train. It's kind of upsetting, but they, you know, I guess like there's a lot of business behind funerals now too, right? Like funeral homes and
Oh, they're a big racket though as well. They're one of these horrible things. They're on this list of things that are kind of quite, I want to say scammy, you know?
Yeah. Like, how much did you love Sheila? Do you think you want to go with like the all-inclusive mahogany coffin, or you just want like a cardboard box with packing tape around it? You know? How much did you love her really? It's like kind of mean, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, so we'll just go with we'll just write her name in a Sharpie on the cardboard box.
We did a whip round and not a lot of people really donated, so yeah, I think we're gonna go with the cardboard box. We got our own packing tape though, so we don't need any of that.
Jesus, we got some old wrapping paper we can use.
It's pretty fucking grim, isn't it?
It is. So,
whoa.
I guess what I was sort of trying to say was that babies and children will sort of follow the mood of their parents.
That's right, yeah. They pick up on your mood.
So if something kind of, I think it's hard to sometimes hide your mood too. You know, if you're upset, it's going to be very hard to hide that. But at the same time, you can.
Yeah. With Prozac. It's well, you can.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Fucking hell.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I mean, funerals are a racket, but also weddings are a big racket.
Oh, yeah, weddings are a bit of a
They
racket.
are incredible pricing where you're expected to do all these bizarre things to do from the place to the amount of people you invite, from the dress to the DJ.
Yeah.
It is an absolute.
You went to one. Well, you've been to a couple recently, haven't you?
I've been to a few
in the past
weddings.
like 2-3 years, you've been to a couple.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Do you have any fun stories from those? Like, did you accidentally have sex with the bride or anything like that? You know?
No, I can't say. Even if I had, I think. How do you feel about weddings and marriage in a modern society?
Well, honestly, when it's your own, it's different, because it's like, you know, you do it because you do it for yourself to make things official and stuff, but you do it because you've got family and stuff as well, right? It's a celebration and people want to like take part in that. But I think that a lot of the shit that happens at weddings and the things that are expected of people that they have to do and stuff like that nowadays, not only is it really fucking expensive and it's like $1 billion industry, so there's a lot of like pressure, you know, like consumer pressure for you to partake in all this fucking bullshit. I don't agree with that side of it. I mean, I think if you're putting together a little sort of party for like your family and your loved ones to get together and celebrate something that's nice or whatever, that's pretty cool. But, you know, like if you're getting like a fucking Hummer limo with like neons on the bottom and your wife has been crying for 2 weeks about her wedding dress and all that kind of shit, it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe those parts of it aren't like the best.
I think.
Although, having said that, a Hummer limo is pretty fucking sweet.
A wedding and marriage are different things. I think that a wedding, expensive wedding, and by extension marriage, is a little bit like a New Year's resolution to go to the gym, or paying for a gym membership. So, in order to be faithful, or a lot of people might treat it as a thing where they say, okay, I'm gonna make this cost, I'm gonna make this payment, I'm gonna take this. I've sunk enough costs. You know, we're gonna go and we're gonna book a honeymoon. We're gonna pay for all this stuff, and then that's it. That's gonna cost me so much that I'm never gonna be unfaithful again. I'm kind of gonna. Do you know what I mean? I think there's still a certain stigma attached to stuff. And, you know, you know, the two of you will go somewhere with a kid, and everyone will assume you're married. And if you're not, then people will start thinking, that's a bit weird. You know, it's still kind of, it's not a religious thing. You know, you didn't marry for any kind of religious reasons. Why did you get married? You know.
Oh, because we're both religious, and it was like the next step. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, no, we got married. Well, I mean, partly, I think if we both grew up in the same country, we wouldn't have gotten married as young as we did, sort of thing. Because, I mean, I lived in Canada and my wife lived over here. And really the next step, if we wanted to actually live together and not have to get visas and shit like that, getting married was
for
like...
a green card, Sips. Of course you did.
No, there's no green cards over here. Like, I still have a Canadian passport. It's like it's like dual citizenship sort of thing. So.
Yeah, citizenship. Yeah.
Citizenship.
I have trouble saying that as well.
Yeah, no, so do I. But it's not like, it's just like it's not the only reason you do it, but it is definitely, if you're not from the same country, it's something that you sort of have to think about at some point. Especially, if you don't want to have to like continually go back to your country of origin for stretches of time, only to then just come back and stuff like that. Like it's kind of annoying. Like we had to do it for a while, and it was like pretty annoying. So,
well,
I don't know.
I mean, I didn't realise that it was a visa thing after all. I knew you were a big fan of the UK, and I knew you.
I love Visa.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate MasterCard, so I was thrilled to get a visa.
But I don't know. It's difficult because I think marriage is classically this kind of religious thing, and much like a lot of things in our society, like Christmas. I think a lot of the time the religious stuff has kind of been stripped out, but we like what they represent. And we like. And we're happy. Most people are happy to continue.
Wait,
what?
Did Jesus not want me to just get a ton of Nintendo games for Christmas? Is that not? Was that not the?
Jesus loves you very much. You've been a very good boy this year.
I decree every girl and boy across the land shall receive Nintendo games on this day. Delicately wrapped and placed under the fireplace by an imaginary man.
What do people get these days instead of Nintendo games?
Well,
I guess they just get PlayStation games.
PlayStation 4 games.
Yeah.
They just get like Call of Duty and stuff like that, don't they?
That's sad.
That's sad. It's Monday. We had a weekend. I was in the club.
All weekend.
I was busting a move, like pretty hard, like I usually do. And then I just broke my femur, and well, the rest is history. There was no bass drop for me on this weekend because
breaking your femur is no mean feat, Sips. It's the biggest bone in the human body. Did you know that?
I know. I busted it hard though.
It might not be. It's certainly.
I mean, there's a bigger bone in my body than that. But.
It's the longest bone in the body and the strongest
and
bone
the
in the body.
girthiest as well.
I don't think it's the biggest technically, but it's the strongest and the longest and the girthiest.
It's really good.
It is tough to break your femur because my brother broke his and it was very, very bad. He broke it when he had a car crash. So you have to be pretty. Yeah, you have to be pretty. It's pretty tough to break it. It's pretty bad when you break it as well because it's
you don't have
pretty big old bone.
like a backup. Like when you lose a kidney, you got a backup, right?
Yeah. Spare.
But there's definitely parts of your body where there's no backup. Once you've lost it, that's it. You're done.
There is another femur in your other leg, though.
Is there?
Yeah, you got two legs, Sips.
Oh yeah, of course you do. Yeah. What about people that have only one though?
Which do you think the femur was? Do you think it was like the ass bone or something?
I never really thought about it actually.
It's the big upper leg bone.
My knowledge of a femur comes from roleplay games because you always find one, don't you?
There's always dinosaur.
You always find one in a treasure chest, like
it's that classic
with other
bone
stuff.
that you see a caveman using as a club, right? It's got that knobbly bit on the end that goes into your hip. Yeah. And so they fashion it into a club.
What? I mean, I never actually thought about it beyond that, though. That's the truth.
It's your upper. It's the bit between your knee and it's connected to your hips. Yeah. It's big old bone. Big old boner.
Why isn't it in the song though? Like
boner. I want to know where you think it was.
To this bone and that bone's connected to the theme or like it's not in the song. So
It sounds like a Simpsons version. No, but there probably is a song of that, like a realistic version of that song, the Bone song.
Maybe.
What's that called?
maybe.
What's the Bone song called? It's the
Bone song.
Dem Bones.
I think it actually is just. Is it Dem Bones? Roll
Yeah.
Dem Bones. Dem Bones. Dem Bones. I don't know. Is that? That's not a thing though, is it? Dem Bones. It can't be. Say it ain't so.
Where does the Dem Bones start with? What does Dem Bones start the song with? Which bone?
I think it starts like it's
Is
like
it
a
the head
musical
bone?
start.
Does it start with
No,
the
no,
does
it's
it
like
start at the
there's
top
no
or the
lyrics
bottom?
to start with. It goes like no, wait a sec, that's not even that's not it. That's a different song altogether. Man, for some reason, I don't know why, but do you ever remember being scared of the Muppets when you were smaller? Do you think there's like a stage in your life that you get to that's a bit awkward where you're scared of the Muppets and you sort of have to overcome that fear before you can fully embrace and enjoy the Muppets?
I think, but when you don't know anything, you are suddenly. I think when you're very young, when I was very young, I was scared by strange stuff that maybe you'd think, well, why would kids be scared by that? But I think it's a little bit like that uncanny valley. You know what the uncanny valley is?
No, I don't know what that is. Is that something like Twilight? And
well-
when I say is that something like Twilight, I mean it in the sense that Twilight is something I've heard about many times, but I've never actually seen before, and I have no intention of seeing either, because I know what it is, sort of thing. And I feel like maybe Uncanny Valley is a little bit like, fuck.
Wow. Okay. Well, there's a lot to take in there, but basically, uncanny valley
Take me on a trip.
is this. It's basically a thing that theorizes. It's the reason why we're scared of things that like zombies. Basically,
it's not a TV show.
basically we are encoded to have a revulsion when it comes to dead bodies. Okay, genetically, we are supposed to be.
I mean, I don't have that. Does that mean there's something wrong with me? Because actually, I get sexually aroused by them. Is that?
But that means probably that there's something wrong with you, yeah. But basically, there's kind of this graph, okay, of human likeness versus how much we like them, and it kind of it slowly goes up towards so something that looks human-like, and then animals, and then like humans. So basically,
Wait, there's a chart of which bodies you prefer to see dead? Is
no,
that what you're trying to tell me?
things like your response to them, your
Oh, right, okay.
your familiarity, attraction to them. So, for example,
Right.
you can tell, even though like a corpse is very very close to a live human, you can tell like our genetics make us have this automatic response towards them. It's kind of this weird thing, but basically, it's the reason why sort of these non-human dolls sometimes can look extremely creepy, and it's because they're in this uncanny valley region where they're clearly not a human to us, but because they're just slightly different, we see them in the same sort of creepy vein.
I mean,
as like
when
a
you said
dead
Uncanny
body.
Valley, I immediately thought, is that a computer game? Or like a TV? Like, it sounds like the name of a computer game.
Or it sounds like a crappy American TV show. Yeah.
It does, yeah. That's why I sort of mentioned Twilight, because, I mean, that's kind of a crappy American TV show too, isn't it? From what I know of it. Like
What do
I
you
said,
know
I've never
about
seen it before.
Twilight? But what do you know
It's
about
like a teen vampire drama. Like
Yeah.
it's like Dawson's Creek with vampires. It's like One Tree Hill with vampires instead
think
of
it's
just
kind of-
normal 35-year-olds pretending to be 16-year-olds as they do in the American teen dramas.
I think the way I think of it, I think the
Dawson
audience
was like 40 years old, right?
for fuck's sake, the audience
was.
overlapped with the audience for 50 Shades of Grey, right? On Twilight.
No, shut
I
up.
think it did.
I think 50 Shades of Grey was more like mine and your mom. That was the audience.
I think
like,
Twilight is
just
kind of like
older
porn for
women.
girls.
Is it?
Yeah.
I like vampires. I like sexy vampires. I mean,
I
True
think they-
Blood.
It's like
was pretty
emotional
sexy.
porn. It's kind of like
Oh.
it's kind of she is like this empty shell character, the main character of
Right.
Twilight, and
Is her
women are
name
supposed
Twilight?
to put themselves no.
Oh.
Women are supposed to put themselves in her shoes, but she's a funny one because she falls in love with both the most, most attractive, sparkly vampire, but also
Yeah.
a really buff
The bad
werewolf.
boy too.
Yeah, and it's
So she's double dipping in the love department.
yeah, that's kind of I think to some
The
extent.
appeal. Everybody secretly
appealing.
wants to double dip.
I yeah, I guess so. Everyone wants her, and
Right.
it's.
I mean,
she's-
do you
I
think
don't know.
that
She's-
when you watched it, did you want her too?
Well,
Was it like
it's not necessarily about her. Because she's an
Right.
empty shell, right? But it's kind of like I think of it as like one of these Japanese dating video games, right? Where you're just a sort of empty character and you can date the mysterious and aloof, sparkly, vampire,
Yeah.
and you can also date someone else. And but they're all troubled, and they've got things, but you can, but
What
then you
kind
get
of things though? Like,
turned
is it
into a
like,
vampire
oh,
or
damn my
whatever.
abilities, damn these
Curse my
vampire tendencies that I have.
popularity and radiant good looks. It's really difficult. Yeah, I don't know. Talking about Twilight when neither of us really have read
No,
it.
I mean, it's one of these things that like I've never seen before, and it's like kind of old now too, isn't it? Like, is
Think
it
about
like this?
Twilight. Yeah, well, when the film came out in 2008 or whatever, I remember.
Yeah, 2008. That sounds about right.
The
That's old already.
I remember that loads of dads kind of accidentally being tricked into going to it, saying, "Oh, it's a vampire movie." Then they thought it was going to be like Blade or something, and all their daughters would take them to see Twilight.
I feel like I have to be
they
careful
were-
about this
It's
stuff
horrible.
because
What?
I would go see Blade. Like, I saw Blade in the theaters and Blade 2, and I thought that was awesome. But, like, I wouldn't want to see a vampire romance in the theaters, especially with, like, my kids. That would be awkward as shit. Like, I need to be careful. I need to be careful about the kind of things that my kids are going to drag me to in the future, especially, like, my daughter, because, I don't want to end up going to, like, Twilight 10 the movie or whatever when she's old enough to go see that kind of stuff. Hopefully she's just not into that sort of stuff. Hopefully she's just into, I don't know, Ghostbusters and all the stuff my son's into pretty much. That'd be great.
Yeah. Well, there's I mean, the thing is, like, you are with them a good proportion of the day, but you can't control really the other people they meet, especially at school, families, other friends, other people that affect their life, and all who, I'm sure that you and me have the same, in that our lives were not influenced very much by our parents. It just happens that there's all sorts of influences on you, and some of them stick, some of them don't. Our brains are very elastic, and our desires and things change and are influenced based on the people we meet, and we meet a lot of people. So
True.
and also the books you read, the things you see, blah, blah, blah. The opposite, of course, is when you get something like there's a documentary called The Wolf Pack about this family of I think it's 7 kids who were basically confined in their apartment. They weren't allowed out, and they were homeschooled in there. And
that shit is crazy.
they learned about the world basically through watching movies. And so they're just kind of a bit mad. They were a bit mad.
I mean, I've learned a lot of the world by playing video games. So, like, and I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. So I think, more power to them. More power to them.
So there was this thing which I thought was really interesting. Do you remember the Bone Wars? Did you ever hear about the Bone Wars?
Bone
It's
Wars.
a thing I heard about on the old QIL's podcast, which I'm
Yeah,
a big
you're
fan
a big
of,
fan of all that stuff. Yeah.
but
Why?
it's-
Why do you listen to that stuff?
apparently, like, it's just as bad as we are. Like, they're completely wrong. Turns out every episode is just a lot of the stuff they say. Is
Every
bollocks.
episode is just nonsense.
But yeah, so the Bone Wars was really interesting because there were these two guys, Edward Drinker Cope, okay, of the Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia, and Othniel Charles Marsh of the Peabody Museum of Natural History at Yale. I love the word Peabody.
Sorry,
actually.
this guy's last name is Drink a Coke.
Drinker Cope. Yeah, Drinker Cope, not Coke.
Oh, sorry. I thought
Edward
you said
Drinker-
Drink a Coke. I was like, immediately
I
called
snuck
bullshit.
in
I thought
some
you were going to tell some
advertising
sort
there,
of
some
stupid
low-level
dad joke or something.
No,
Yeah.
so Eddie, we'll call him Eddie. Eddie Drinker Coke, and
Eddie Drink a
Charlie
Coke.
Marsh.
Yeah.
Because his first name
Charles Marsh.
Othniel. I can't
Chucky.
believe that his first name is that. Anyway, they were both searching for fossils, okay, in Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming, in all these rich bone beds, okay? Bone
Yeah.
beds sounds like a good thing. And each of them used underhanded methods to try to outcompete each other in the field, okay? So they were bribing,
Right.
thieving, destroying each other's
Pouring,
bones,
Doing
attacking the other.
cocaine.
I don't know.
Jeez.
Maybe
That
they were like
sounds really
grinding up
fun,
dinosaur bones and sniffing them. Yeah, who knows
Oh,
what they were doing.
that sounds crazy.
Why
Why would you do that?
They were basically, they hated each other. They were these bitter rivals, okay?
Right.
And they raced to publish new dinosaurs, okay? But they were all kind of Frankenstein's monsters, you know, because they didn't really know what they were doing, and a lot of them were fake. So what they would do is they would just get any old bones out of the ground that were jumbled together and shove them all back together to try and build, like, you know, it would be like Lego,
Facepalm.
you know? And so
I feel like at the best of times, that's what, dinosaur bones are. Because how do they know? Like, it's crazy. How do they know where the bits go? Like, if
Well,
I
like-
found a bunch of bones in the ground, I would never be able to piece them together. I mean, bearing in mind, I'm not actually trained in this field whatsoever, but still.
clearly you're not trained. The fact is that if you look, for example, if you Google gorilla skeleton versus human skeleton, you'll see there's like an enormous amount of similarity there. You know, almost, you know, 99% of our genetic structure is shared, or more, like 99.7. So,
Right.
you know, the fact is that we are very, very, very similar to the great apes, and it's reflected in the skeleton. If you look at sometimes these skeletons, it's sometimes hard to even tell the difference, but certainly in certain parts. So what you have is an idea of what bones do what based on their size. So the femur is obviously
Yeah.
a weight-bearing
It's
bone.
always back to the
Okay.
femur. The femur. I
And-
think we need to pronounce it properly too, because like if you just say femur, it doesn't do it a lot of justice. I think we have to call it the femur.
This very
I think that
demure,
sounds better.
but
Yeah,
surely
it
that
sounds
has
better.
to have an E on the end. Never mind. But we're not going to get into grammatical discussions about this stuff too. We've got
No.
enough
Do
to talk
QI
about.
elves ever cover like grammaticals and stuff, or not really?
I'd like
It's not-
to.
not really
I
their
don't
sort of
think
thing.
it's one of their main things, but certainly, if it's interesting, then I think they probably
Yeah.
have. I'm sure Stephen Fry loves it. So anything grammatical they can get in there, probably he just has a hard on instantly for.
Nice.
I do like Stephen Fry though. So actually, he's left QI now. It's now Sandy Toxvig going to be presenting it from now on.
And Gary Drink a Coke or whatever his name is.
Gary
Oh, no,
Drinker Coke.
He's
He's,
the
he's busy doing the Bone
dinosaur.
Wars.
dinosaur boy.
He's boning it up. So
It's
yeah,
just like polishing bones, having
a lot
Coke.
of they published 142 new dinosaurs or something combined, but like almost all of them, only 32 of them are actually valid, because the rest of them
Right.
are just made up. You know, they put like 3 dinosaurs worth of bones together and make this horrific monster, chuck away all the extra skulls they got left over, you know, and you know,
And this is because they were so busy trying to have like a competition rather than actually taking science seriously.
and I think
And
it's
that's a lesson to everybody. If you're in the field of science, don't have a competition. Stay true to the ideals of science.
Well, I think one of the ones which was very much... Sorry, go on, I'm ignoring you. I was just trying to find this out. What did you just say?
I wasn't even paying attention to what I was saying.
Stay true to the ideals of... What are you saying?
A velociraptor.
That is definitely real, yes. You can have that one.
A Tyrannosaurus Rex.
That is a real dinosaur, yes. They were real.
Ankylosaurus.
Ankylosaurus. I mean, that's the one with the
with the big ball at the end of his tail.
Yeah, I think that
Ball
one
tail.
is real. Yeah.
Okay.
That one.
What about a
is real.
Stegosaurus?
Sure, that's definitely real. That's got those big plates. Okay, you're getting the
What
good
about
ones.
a Brontosaurus?
Now that one is not
Right.
real. That is one of the
Okay.
bullshit ones. Now that is one which was found by Charles Marsh and was initially bollocks. Because it was too big. It didn't make sense. He'd done it wrong. But I think that very recently they came back and did a version of it which was probably alright.
Okay.
So
Well,
I
they
think
just did like a revision of the Brontosaurus.
Yeah, it got kind of version 2 of it or whatever. It got revised, but apparently it wasn't. When I read about this first, like a few years back, it was all this big controversy. But now I think they've settled on it actually being not as bad.
What about the pterodactyl?
I think that's a real one again. I think the pterodactyl is a good example of one of the dinosaurs which survived the apocalypse. Kind of, or didn't necessarily survive, but basically modern birds.
It flew into space. Oh man, that's how it avoided. That's how it avoided all of the catastrophe that was happening on the planet. Just flew into space, just chilled up there for a bit. It's like, yeah, no problem. Came back down when everything was fine, and to this day, of course, you can hear the terrifying screech of the pterodactyl in our skies. Just go outside. There you'll hear it.
Not over here, more thunder.
Sorry. The ocean is very, very big, and yes, very unexplored, but the areas of the ocean that are unexplored are very, very deep, and therefore they're very, very dark. No light can get down to these areas of the ocean, which limits the amount
that's
of
why
light that
you need a
there.
submersible. But what's the deepest like a human-made submersible could go? Because there's a lot of pressure, obviously, the deeper you go. And I think that the deepest that you can go is like 20 feet or something before shit starts to really hit the fan.
Well, I think you have to ask James Cameron about that, you know.
Yeah, he knows.
He loves to go.
Because he, of course, discovered the wreck of the Titanic.
That's right.
And that was... Well, the Titanic, like, the wreck of the Titanic's pretty deep, though, right? Like, they even had some trouble getting to
Again,
that.
I don't think he discovered it. I think he went and looked around it.
Did he? I don't know if he even did that. You know,
I think
he made a movie,
didn't he?
No, he fucking didn't. James Cameron.
James Cameron went famously was like a submarine explorer.
Shut
explorer.
up.
He was.
He wishes. He fucking wishes.
He fucking was 6. I wasn't even joking.
You're joking, right?
I'm not joking.
It's a funny joke anyway, because, I mean, James Cameron, this is the same guy that made Angel, the TV series Angel, right?
Yeah.
No way that he's been in a submarine before, okay?
He fucking went to, like, the bottom of the Atlantic or something. He had some dumbass fucking project that he had, and he was in it.
I think we can agree that he has worked on a couple of dumbass projects before, but he's not been to the bottom of the sea. There's no fucking way.
Hang on. Deep sea dives. Okay. On March the 7th, 2012, Cameron took the Deep Sea Challenger to the bottom of the New Britain Trench in a 5-mile deep solo dive. He went 5 miles down.
I take it all back.
That's how fucking deep it is. So he spent more than 3 hours exploring the ocean floor before returning to the surface. He's the first person to accomplish the trip solo. There were unmanned dives, blah, blah, blah. He made a 3D film during this trip. He collected new...
Oh, yeah.
He discovered a new species of sea cucumber, squid worm, giant single-celled amoeba, the exciting
Oh,
finds
of
due
course
to the
he-
harshness of the environment. So there you go. So basically,
He fucking would.
It's so deep down there that there's only two ways to survive. Obviously, first thing, it's very, very high pressure. You know,
Way number one, be James Cameron. And way number two, discover a new breed of sea cucumber.
No, if you were that deep in the ocean, okay, there's only two ways to survive. One is to have energy sources dropping down from above. So, like, like things die, or like a fish is eating some food, but it drops in, it sinks. So, some scavengers can survive in the dark by eating the detritus that has dropped down into the dark.
Yeah.
Okay. The other way to survive in the dark at the bottom of there is with some sort of either artificial light source or artificial energy source in some way. So, for example, there are some hydrothermal vents in the sea, a little bit like hot springs on land, pumping out heat and usually things like sulfur. And some sulfur-based life forms have been found. I think they're called extremophiles. So these kind of things that can live in extreme conditions. So it's unlikely.
So do you think Cameron found one of these things, and that's how he was successful? He found a vent and he just, like, you know, hovered above it or whatever, and it's like, hey, fuck you, nature. I've done it.
No,
Cameron wins.
For a start, I think he's a vegan, right? And second, he obviously did it after Titanic, so he wouldn't have been able to do this ridiculous thing without, like, the money that he made from
Titanic.
this stuff. Yeah. So yeah,
Right.
he's
Just
an
over here,
expert on
everyone,
deep sea exploration stuff. Because I think he did the Abyss trilogy. That was his original.
That's ruined my whole day.
success.
He's had some really good movies, actually. It's true. That's ruined my whole day, though, because
What do
I
you mean?
wanted him to just be good at making a couple of movies and not do other things. Like, I had him pigeonholed big time as just like Cameron, stay in your box, all right? Just stick to the movies. Stick to what you're good at, all right? We don't want any more deep sea diving or
Like
fucking
True
spacewalks
Lies.
or whatever's next for you. Just can it, okay?
He made a
We
film
don't-
in 1981 called Piranha 2: The Spawning. Can you
Nice.
believe it? And then they were like,
Well.
"This is so good, we're going to have you direct Terminator 2 Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day."
Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
The
I'll tell you
Ter-
what,
the
because he
Terminator.
also directed Aliens, which was the second Alien movie, which was arguably the best in the trilogy. So Cameron has this ability to come in mid-trilogy and make a good movie. How does he do it?
He's unique. He's a unique man. He did direct
He's
the
a
first
unique dude.
Terminator, by the way. Not just.
Did
just
he do
come
the
in
first
at-
one too?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I thought he just came in out of nowhere.
wrote it
It's like,
as well.
who's this fucking little Jimmy here? Little Jimmy Cameron out of nowhere. This fucking blockbuster movie. Guns N' Roses on the soundtrack. The
Who are you
fuck?
doing an impression of there?
I don't sound like some movie guy, I guess. I don't know.
Movie guy.
It's like a stock movie
Yeah.
guy. Joe
I'm
movie guy.
in charge of movies here at Movie Corp. That's
Anyway,
right.
I got a bombshell to drop on you. What about Team Destiny's Dialed instead of Child? We can make a theme song around that, actually. You know, remember that?
Destiny's what?
Yeah, remember that Destiny's Child song? We'd have to be Destiny's Dialed though, because it's the only way for the DD to fit.
Destiny's dialed. Like, you mean like dialing the phone?
Sure.
People don't
Anyway,
really dial
it could be like a
anymore.
tribute band to Destiny's Child, but check it out, okay? You know, remember that song? I think it's the Charlie's Angels song. It's like the watch that I'm wearing, I bought it, but like we can customize all that to like our own story. So like, for instance, this garage I'm sitting in, I bought it. These games I'm playing, I bought them. You got any others? This pizza I'm eating, I bought it. You know, it's just like you know, you want to make sure that
Do you not
everybody
wanna mix
knows
it up?
that.
This tea that I'm drinking, I made it. I guess they did.
Oh
make
yeah,
it.
you could actually mix it up. Yeah, this tea I'm brewing, I made it. This garage I'm sitting in, I bought it.
I
It's
cleaned
really-
it.
I cleaned it. No, it's not very clean though. This is the thing. It's fucking
Really?
comfy though, man.
How
yeah,
is
it's
it
like
a mess
the
already?
ultimate man cave. Well,
Oh.
actually, I did clean it up a little bit, but then it got messy again. It's just the way that it goes. Like, I need somebody to come in and clean it on the regular, but I don't really have anyone that can do it. So, you know, that may be something to think about for the future, you know? It's a little job opening.
Excited.
You know, maybe it's something you'd like to do. Bring your bubble over, hook up with some hot single mums, and clean my garage.
Okay.
On the regular.
I'll bring the rubber
Shampoo.
gloves. And,
The floor shampoo.
Yeah, shampoo. So we talked a little bit about all sorts of stuff recently. Don't tell me
Do
he's
you
dead.
remember the movie Gremlins?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I
this
do. I
might
watched
not
it
be
at Christmas, like when I was a kid. I think that
And
that
do you
scared
know who
me.
directed that movie?
It was Joe
You're gonna be
Dante.
No, you're going to be fucking surprised at who actually directed the movie Gremlins,
Well,
because
it's
I didn't
definitely-
realize. I watched it yesterday.
It's Joe Dante. it
It's
says
not
here.
Joe Dante. Close, though. It is none other than Stefan Spielbergo. The one and only. Gremlins, motherfucker. Can you believe it?
Not according to Wikipedia.
Yeah, what does Wikipedia know? All right, I saw with my own eyes. Steven Spielberg presents Gremlins.
Oh, he presents it. That's like
Yeah.
saying. That's like having the fucking a ghost written. It's like saying, "Oh, Jordan's autobiography."
I know. You know,
Written
you
by
say this,
Jordan.
you say all this, but we both know that Steven Spielberg isn't just going to sit idly by and present something without getting into that director's chair
Without
and
getting a
doing the
good
magic.
wad of cash. He's
Without
not just
doing
gonna
a
sit
good amount
idly
of
by.
direction. He's
No.
going to get in there. He's going to be like, listen, Joe DiMaggio, I know that this is your film, but I'm Steven Spielberg, world-renowned director, and I think that I have a thing or two that I could offer to the production of this movie. Why don't you just step aside a minute, let me sit down, and let me do this for a second? And the guy was just like, oh, well, Steven, I think the thing is Gremlins is, of course, a period piece that I really want to make sure we really embrace the values of the Gremlin Society. And Steven's like, Joe, shut the fuck up a minute, okay? Let me sit down in this director's chair. And that's when the magic happened. I don't know exactly what it is that happened because, like a professional chef, Steven Spielberg does that thing with his hand where he hides from your vision what he's actually doing.
Okay.
Because it's secret. It's like a trick of the trade.
Drugs.
And then he pulled it out of the bag, or his ass. And there's the story of Gremlins.
Well,
how it
do you know
became
what?
so popular, so big, because Steven Spielberg knows how to direct a movie, and Joe Piscopone, or whatever his name was, the guy you mentioned that you thought did it,
Right.
doesn't.
Well,
And Steven recognized that early on, and that's what made it such a big hit.
okay.
Just got rid of the other guy.
Here's the deal. The story wasn't originally intended to be filmed at all until Spielberg took an interest in turning it into a film. He
Whoa.
bought it
See?
and then hired
Yeah.
Joe Dante as the director because of his previous experience with horror comedy. Okay? Spielberg has a cameo in the film as a man riding a recumbent bicycle. That's one of those bicycles that has
I
like the
don't remember
lean.
seeing him in it, actually.
Okay. Blah blah blah. Apparently, instead of Stripe being a Mogwai who becomes a gremlin, there was originally no Mogwai named Stripe. Rather, Gizmo was supposed to turn into Stripe the gremlin. However, Spielberg wanted to keep Gizmo cute and want him.
Remember
present
how
throughout the film.
awful it was when they would go in the water? Remember when
Yeah.
they went in the swimming pool and they started turning into the bad ones? And it's like, oh my god.
That was amazing, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It was petrifying.
Did you watch it with your kid?
No.
Oh, okay.
He was in and out of the room sort of thing, but not fully watching it. And then we stopped watching it, like, when it started to get really intense because, you don't want him to get scared.
It was a horror comedy, definitely. It was definitely a spookier film. I remember as a kid.
It was one of the spookiest, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah, but I remember, we were watching it, and it's like, fucking Spielberg, I can't believe it. What has this guy not done? Show me a movie that Spielberg hasn't had a hand in. Like, this guy, seriously, his contribution to film over the past, 100 years has been crazy.
Just go easy, Sips.
What?
Go easy. I know you're a fan.
Well,
Oh God, you might as well.
I just want to show my respect to, arguably the biggest talent in the biz. Do you want to know something else about
$4
Spielberg?
billion.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm not surprised. You know why?
Why?
Listen, this is crazy, okay? George Lucas, when he was making Star Wars in the first place, they were doing they were putting it together, and it was scheduled for release, and at the same time, Spielberg was working on Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
So Lucas and Spielberg are like pretty good friends, and they'd happen by each other's sets.
I'm
from
already
time to
taking
time.
this story with a pinch of salt, as if it's
No,
like...
no. You can look it up.
as if it's,
You look
I
it
don't
up
know
on
whether
Wikipedia or
it's
whatever.
An old Sipsy classic.
Anyway.
I'm just making up off the top of my head.
No,
I'm just
it's
gonna
not.
assume
No.
it
This
is.
is 100% true. Okay.
Okay.
So Star Wars is just like wrapping up, and they've shown it to like the executives at 20th Century Fox or whatever, and they showed them the version where they didn't have the special effects in, so they had like a shopping cart for the Millennium Falcon and stuff, and all this like old World War II plane footage, like for the dogfighting scenes and stuff.
Right.
And Spielberg is at this, and everybody was like, George, I don't know, like, are you on crack or something? This looks pretty bad. What have we paid for here? Star Wars is gonna be pretty dumb. And
Mr.
Spielberg
Pepsi
comes up to
Cola
him.
was like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know
Mr.
about
Pepsi
this,
Cola,
George.
and Gary Coke drinker, were like, George, you're fucking crazy, man. And anyway, Spielberg says to George Lucas, like, fuck, this is gonna be huge, by the way. George Lucas like, nah, I don't think so. And they're at the set of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and George Lucas is like, no, I think this is gonna like kill Star Wars at the box office. And Steven Spielberg's like, no way, George, like, this is gonna be humongous, trust me. So he's like, all right, well, fine. I'm about to release this movie. It's gonna flop. I'm probably gonna lose everything because I've poured like all of my heart, soul, and finances into it. He's like, why don't you give me like 2% of Close Encounters of the Third Kind?